Hi guys, it's Cindy
Hello,
and Michael
Michael.
from Part-Time Permies for anyone who hasn't been here before. We have a lag on things right now. It looks decent lag here, and I'm hoping we're not going to buffer too much. Our internet seems to be bouncing around. Let me know, but we're going to try this. If it's not working, we can do our backup cell phone. I did get some buffering issues. If it's not too bad, we'll keep going. If it's going nuts, then we will switch. So I guess verification that you guys can hear us would be great as well to start off the show. Who do we have in the room? We have a lot of people. Your mom's here. Sending us a Wall Street Journal article on the growing market for pastas.
Really?
Growing an Italian pasta market.
Why don't you send that to the rest of Kalamazoo? They're a little behind the times on food some days.
And Linda, Tina, Incense Shop, hello, Kiri, Built on the Rock Homestead, Suburban Hillbilly, Garrett,
Green Raven.
Green Raven and Green Gables. And
Linda
I'm
Taylor.
missing Linda, hello.
Got your package sitting next to us right now, waiting for the
shipping it out.
Shipping to open tomorrow.
Yep, and Crystal, hello. Oh, good. Thank you.
Not having a problem. Good.
Awesome. Well, just let us know if it...
Buffering on every channel tonight.
Oh, my goodness.
That's a YouTube thing, then.
That would be a YouTube thing, although I can tell you right now, my my OBS, which is the software we use for this program so that I can show you pictures, is bouncing around like crazy on the speed. So it hasn't gone down to 0 recently, but we'll keep an eye on that. If it cuts us off, then we'll have to do our backup cell phone. But hi, Butcher Baker.
We've been out all day. Is there a
yeah.
There isn't a basketball game tonight, is there?
Probably. Isn't it March Madness? I don't know if it's on break.
Well, yesterday Michigan State lost Texas Tech. We've been so busy. Honestly,
we haven't watched any of it.
We usually pay somewhat attention.
No.
Sometimes major sports events really screw up internet activity. But
oh, I didn't even think about that.
Butcher Baker and Queso Maker. That's a new one.
Yeah. Welcome.
I like that.
So we're okay for now. Just give us a heads up if we start having issues, because we're watching the chat more than our screen. But we've also been gone all day, so I did, in the last about 30 minutes, was able to pull together some pictures from this week and this weekend.
Where does Garrett? It's 9:03 a.m., 12 hours away. Where's Garrett? That must be like Australia, New Zealand?
Yeah,
it's not Europe.
Not Europe.
12 hours is a long...
That's got to be like Australia or something, right? Okay. So... Yes, so we've been out all day. I did pull together some pictures because I did take a lot of pictures when I took Puddin' on a walk yesterday. It was so warm this weekend.
We got our first real warm up.
Yes, it was in the upper 60s.
If it stayed warm, we're going to end up with more L's early, but I don't know if we're really staying that warm.
But yeah, we were in the upper 60s yesterday and today. Today was a bit rainy, and we were out of town for the most of the day. So yeah, we did get a lot of
Philippines. Okay, that makes sense.
Of course.
There we go.
How was our hike? It was awesome. I went on a hike. Mike was at the market. I took Puddin' bushwhacking a little bit through our forest, and we got pictures of a lot of things that are growing.
Australia's 16. Yeah. I knew that was.
Well, it depends on what part of Australia.
Trying to figure out what wasn't in the ocean that was 12 hours away. Not looking at a map. Okay.
Australia, I think, has 3 time zones, though.
Yeah. No, it does have a bunch, but Philippines makes a lot more sense.
Yes. 80s down in Texas today.
That's nice.
That's too hot for me. I like my 70s, really.
I don't mind up to upper 80s. It's great. Pushing 90s gets hard to do work.
I overheat. But I got a lot of stuff done in the greenhouse. So I'll start with that, but we also got a lot of pictures taken of what's naturally growing that's edible outside. So we'll run through a little bit of that. Of course, if you have any questions on for Ask the Chef, you can always throw those out as we go through here. But think what else?
If it's a making cheese question, ask butcher, baker, queso maker. I know a little
Yeah.
decent amount about butchering. I'm not a bad baker. I'm not as good as somebody who does either one of those things every day. Cheese making, I've never done. I
No.
understand a little bit about it. I love cheese, but the ins
Yes.
and out of actual cheese making is something we have not done.
Although Stefan was making
I know
cheese.
Stefan was
Oh,
making
our
some
friend.
beautiful cheese. I have some friends in the area that have some wonderful cheese
Yes.
that they make. They have their own creamery.
Yeah.
But we don't do that.
No, that's one thing we don't do. But you are a trained chef. You have a lot of the other.
Yeah, which has nothing to do with making cheese.
No.
Has a little something to do with butchering and baking.
And it has a little something to do with using cheese with food.
Yes.
But not making it.
Eaten and served a lot.
Okay. So.
Cheese is fun. Cheese is lots of fun. Completely agree with that.
Yes.
Like sheep cheese a lot. Really love.
Goat cheese. I love goat cheese.
Sheep cheese. They raise sheep.
I know. I was just changing the animal.
Manchego. What's the Argentinian? There's an Argentinian sheep cheese. And of course lots of pecorino in Italy.
Yep.
Heavily salted, of course.
So, just to change the topic of cheese, which we could talk about every cheese we love. But anybody want to see what we have growing in our greenhouse?
I got an off trivia question. How many types of cheese in the world are there? So not where do they come from or their different names, but the actual physical or chemical or biological properties of to make the cheese, the process to make cheese.
How many styles?
How many styles of cheese are there in the world? I believe I'm pretty certain I have the right answer on that. Pecorino Romano is phenomenal. I love Roquefort. She doesn't. A good Roquefort is.
I like everything but blues.
Yeah, she doesn't do the blues, but I do.
If it's a mild blue, I'm starting to be okay with it.
Oh, my mom's on. She loves blue. And by the way, we ate dinner at Metzger's tonight.
Yep.
So.
Talk about, well, that wasn't cheese related.
No, not cheese. Just so she could be jealous. It's the old German restaurant that was growing up, and I haven't been there in quite a while, but we made the stop on the way home. And
used to be downtown Ann Arbor.
Got some schnitzel and some sauerbraten and red cabbage and coleslaw and lots of spatzel, and I had lemon gravy and she had a regular gravy.
Oh wait, the Suburban Hillbilly, that is the affiliate link to
the beef butchery. Yep,
beef butchery workshop.
I believe the pork butchery is coming up in the week or so. Our pork pictures in our packet is running behind.
Yeah,
unfortunately. Nice try, Cindy. What's Green Raven was?
Yeah, because I had said who wants to see what's in the greenhouse, and you completely changed the subject again.
Cheese is way more dominating than greens, as much as we like greens.
I like my greens, and not all the greens are coming up yet in the greenhouse.
Yeah, they're coming up.
I'm actually going to post a link, if I can find it here in the description. It is in the description for our kit.
Oh.
No, for our kit, because the booklet for the beef butchery is on the kit web page, so you can try if you're interested in just the booklet, not the whole video. It's available on the kit, and then we will put the pork butchery on there when it's done. But yeah, we got distracted again. Anybody want to see the plants in the greenhouse? Does a sheep
cheese taste like a goat cheese? No. It tastes like cheese, yes. No. Otherwise, no, not generally.
Yep. So, okay.
Clemson blue cheese. Oh, so that must be off the Clemson project. So I've had the Michigan State cheddar, which is phenomenally good. It's probably the best thing I've had out of Michigan State.
If you keep talking about cheese, I'm going to have to go get myself a snack from the fridge.
We get some cheese in there.
I know we do. I love eating cheese.
No, it's a creamy, it's creamy, no sheep.
Yeah,
that's. Sheep definitely has a sheepy flavor, and goat has a goaty flavor. There's no question about it, and they're both, when prepared properly, are very good.
Yeah. Have you tried the OC? Oh, that was okay. To the wrong place. Can I go back to my greens? Or are we still talking about sheep?
Well, I haven't heard any answers on how many types of cheese there are.
Your mom wants to see the greenhouse.
Wrong stream. Watching multiple stream, you got caught. That's okay. That's fine.
I'm not sure how people do that exactly because I can't.
It's like watching multiple sports games, like football games. Although that's harder than watching multiple streams.
You're listening to people talk on the live streams. You hear multiple people talking.
Well, you can watch a thread from one stream, and you can listen to the chatter from another stream, and that's pretty effective.
Kind of, if you could read lips on what's going on one. Anyway, okay, greenhouse. I'm going to my greenhouse. Thank you guys. So yes, I have some soil blocks going here, which aren't popping up yet, but we did plant this week more brassicas. I planted this week.
I planted pasta. It's not growing yet. There has been a lot of pasta trees floating around the internet this week, though.
Okay.
You didn't see those?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, there's been a lot of that going on.
So we have in the back here in a jar, we have some elderberry cuttings that we're starting. We have some kale, baby kale growing on the front right tray. Front left tray, we have just started. Those are the ones I just planted. On the front left tray are Brussels sprouts and 2 types of broccoli. And then we have some greens growing behind them that you can see. There's also some onions.
Yeah, they're in good shape. The greens are ready to transplant or even pull some baby leaves.
Yes, they're basically kale and arugula and spinach. And
trying to keep the cat off the keyboard. Cindy has that problem.
I do have that problem sometimes. We do also have some cauliflower that's just starting to sprout that we planted with my nephew Taylor, and it was cauliflower and there was one other.
Kohlrabi?
No, didn't do kohlrabi because we go straight out. No, I did broccoli this week. It was cauliflower and
Brussels sprouts. You said.
I already got the Brussels sprouts. Yes, you're not helping me. Anyway, cauliflower and not Jerusalem artichokes, regular artichokes.
Yeah, okay. Hey, does anybody know how to go through the blanch process on artichokes? Who've grown artichokes? Because I had a friend who did it, and I know there's a blanch process. And Cindy said, "Oh, so
we'll look it up.
Anybody wants to remind us that process, that'd be great."
We have not grown artichokes before. We've done Jerusalem artichokes, completely different.
Not related.
Nope. So this is a first on that one, so we'll have to look up some information, but we try starting the seeds. They're not sprouting yet, so I don't know how long they take to sprout. So we'll see.
If you can't get your seeds in the ground, Linda, you're in Indiana. You're not behind at all. We haven't even broken frost yet.
Our average day of last frost here is May 13th.
Fine. In fact, your summer stuff and seeds should not even be going in the ground yet. Only your cold hardy should be going in. And we have a theory. Now, it has somewhat to do, it's always best to plant within season, but plant whenever you have the opportunity. It may require extra watering. It may go late into the season or stunt, and you may not get anything, but it's always better to plant than not plant and try and figure it out and do it. But at this point, you're not behind. I mean, you don't even.
You probably need to put your stuff in, depending on where in Indiana you are. Just a couple weeks ahead of us, maybe 1 to 2 weeks. Yeah. And
even in New York, we didn't even go until like Mother's Day weekend, early May, and it's almost a month later for us here.
No, it's not. It's a few days. We're only a few days later in average day of last frost.
It just feels like it's
a week.
Later. All right. But the warm up seems.
Yeah, it goes from, I think it was May 5th where we were in New York, and it's May 13th here.
So you're fine. Yeah. And a lot of it has to do with your ground temperature, your waterfall if you're doing it naturally,
and your frost.
And your frost, and just your seasonal variations. So it's not always going to be the same all the time.
Green Raven just received and planted elderberry.
We have elderberry sprout. If Cindy goes back to that last picture. Those are elderberry cuttings from 2 weeks ago,
and they're just starting to show buds and leaves.
We're gonna transplant.
Yeah, we do have 2 elderberry trees that we planted last fall as well. So we're going to be adding to our food forest out front with those. And these are all started in the greenhouse. Some of them I started in our house under lights and on heat mats. I do have, not in this picture, I have some peppers and ground cherries and eggplant that are starting inside on the heat pads and under light. So that obviously cannot be outside in our weather because we're going to get down to freezing again next weekend or close to it. So yeah, we'll still get more freezing
going
weather.
back to a couple of the questions, cheese, if my memory is correct, I'm pretty sure there are 18 distinct types of cheese. So the idea of 200, yeah, there are hundreds of names.
But as far as
in that you change the milk and in that you change the location, it doesn't change the process. It does change the flavor, but
there's 18 processes.
If you take different bacterias, different sort of aging, outside molds, inside bacteria's molds, is there yeast involved? And the actual physical chemical processes, there's actually only 18 cheeses. Everything else has to do with the milk and the environmental conditions.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, which has a lot to do with
your flavor and all that. Yeah. Sure. Okay. Suburban Hillbilly, I'm normally already planting. I haven't even started to seed this year. I guess we'll go by starts. Yeah, if we do that, if we can't get some started in time.
Yeah, we'll mix and match. But sometimes the seeds you start late actually catch up and are stronger than the ones that have been so overly heated and root bound from the store.
Yeah.
They take so long to sort themselves out. Sometimes you actually come up better just
starting
your own seeds late.
And I do like, if you look at these in the front left box and the back left side, those are soil blocks. I do like that method. I find it seems to work better, especially for like the tomatoes and peppers that don't like to get root bound, because the roots will stop growing as soon as they hit the air. So what you do is there's 3 size soil blocks you can plant in small, tiny ones that are like 3/4 of an inch block for some plants. As soon as they start sprouting, you put them into a divot in the 2-inch blocks. And then once your roots start getting close to the edge, you take those and you even have a 4-inch block that you can have a 2-inch block hole in it. You put the 2-inch block inside the 4-inch block, and that works well for tomatoes, especially.
Elliott Coleman soil mix has a good mix that you can modify. It also uses some of your own soil, so it gets acclimated to your soil right off
Ideally,
the bat. And conditions to that. And then Johnny Seed sells some nice soil blocks.
The pellets.
They sell nice blockers.
Too. Okay, yeah.
I don't know who else. You have them in your list, I think.
Yeah, they're on my kit list.
I think other people do, but yeah, it's the Elliott Coleman system.
I got them on Amazon.
So you can keep reusing your trays, but you have a lot less plastic containers.
Yes.
If you're concerned about either the cost or the cleanup or the throwaway of containers and bleaching them all out and all that.
Or you can make it and use your own trays out of wood.
If you like the wood ones, yeah. Then you have to be more careful with kind of your bleach down if you're doing greenhouse starts and they don't get a real cold. Going back to the artichokes, no, not blanching with lemon juice, not cooking. Mm-hmm. That is one method, and I could later, maybe not today, tell you actually the French method for doing even better than the lemon juice. But my understanding, I had a very good grower in New York doing some really cool stuff, and she was doing artichokes, but I remember her saying they had to blanch them, like they started them, and then they either brought them out of the light or into cool for a couple of weeks, and then they bring them back out, and they had to go through this process, the blanching being the cool and cold, or the cold and
or
dark.
the dark, yeah.
And they had to spur them to grow or spur them to head.
Yeah.
And that if you don't do that, I think you may get like
a lot of green
fibrous growth, but you don't get the thistle to grow.
Okay.
We need to look it up, but obviously it's important, I believe, to getting, and that's for the New York environment, so it'd be similar to our temps. It's not the Mediterranean where I think artichokes grow in the rainy season after the summer. I want to say they grow
a winter crop.
I think they're a winter crop, which is part of the reason we have to get around that with our summer.
Hi, 13 Moons.
Crop. I'm something. We need to do some research on it because I think that's.
We'll play with it.
Maybe somebody knows and can fill us in.
We'll play with it. We'll see if we'll even get in.
Yes, I do know artichokes will grow in this area if you treat them properly.
Yeah. We'll see if they even start.
Not the big California guys, like maybe the little Italian guys.
The little ones.
Yeah, which are tastier than the big ones.
Yeah. So we got a bunch of stuff started in the greenhouse and inside, and so I'll need to make sure I stay on top of watering them, which is my biggest challenge with work and everything. That was our main thing there. if you guys want to chime in what you guys have started.
Yeah, what are you working on? What's the new thing you've never grown before?
Yeah,
is a good item, or a challenging thing that's not working well? Not that we're master gardeners, but we'll talk to Rose if you got we're probably not sorting your problem out. We're just figuring out our own.
He's referring to Wholesome Roots.
Yeah.
Rose is a master gardener, I believe.
Yes. She did master gardening classes like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Or a long time ago. Yeah. But yeah, if you've got some new gardening projects or something, that'd be neat to know what everybody's doing. Too much trouble, just go buy. Artichokes are expensive, although I don't expect, it's more, I don't know. Yeah.
Well,
I mean, it's an out there. We're not expecting a truckload of artichokes to be showing up in our yard.
We just decided to try them out. So I have, as we get on to other things, if you guys want to list what you're growing, that's awesome. But I also am going to run through, for those of you guys who've been with us for a while, I'm going to run through some pictures, and we'll go back and forth between that and talk about other things if you like.
Lavender, yeah.
Lavender is really hard to grow from seed.
It's hard to get to start. Once it sets in, unless you get a really, really terrible year, it pretty well comes back year after year. It does like a decent amount of heat and sun. You do partial, but
it's the getting the germination.
It takes off in the heat.
The germination rate is really low in lavender. Yeah. So I have always had better luck just buying starts.
And splitting them because they split really easily.
Yeah. Buy a couple. When they get established, split them and separate them out. Yeah. So
Oregon. So 13 Moons is in Oregon. You got morels yet, or any good mushrooms? Because you're way ahead of us. You're weeks ahead of us.
Well, they're nice and
for
wet
mushrooms,
too.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on what part of Oregon.
True. True. It depends a lot.
So okay.
Orchard. Yeah, we're working too slow on an orchard. We just put in hazelnuts a couple weeks ago from canes that were from friends that were split off.
Okay, Built on the Rock, Kiri. Here we go. Since you mentioned the first one, yes, we have plantain growing in our backyard. Well, cat is climbing on us.
Hi, Helix.
So it's just starting. It actually lasts all winter, but under the snow, but it's starting to bounce back right now.
Yeah, plantains love growing in the parking lots. Disturbed,
cracked.
They don't mind the heat. They grow in areas where other things don't like. They're kind of like first invasives.
Yeah. Well, they're
second,
yeah, they're I wouldn't even call them invasive so much as no, they're my brain's not working. Pioneer species.
Yeah, so parking lots is a perfect area and edges of walkways. They take up that heat.
Yeah. And disturb soil and anything like that. Our south of Portland. Cool.
I've seen a lot of people using cattle panels have really increased utility use for other projects. A lot of people are doing them as hoop overs for growing.
For trellises and stuff.
Even for chicken houses and whether they're covering them or not.
Yeah.
It seems like a really good, because it's so inexpensive and because of their flexibility, but they're strong.
Yeah. Okay, so pop quiz. This teeny tiny little plant, if you guys have hopefully bigger screens than a cell phone. I feel sorry if it's a cell phone, but this teeny little plant here will get a little bit bigger. I have a pop quiz for who can identify this edible plant. You can make tea out of it. You can eat the flower, and we have featured it before, and if you go to our webpage below, I have a whole list of featured forage items that you can check out as well. Nope, that one is not sorrel.
It could.
It looks a lot like it.
Yeah, if you don't have a good picture on it or you blow it up, sheep sorrel's bigger.
Sheep sorrel's a different shape, but there's wood sorrel that has a heart shape.
Wood sorrel.
Wood sorrel has a heart-shaped leaf, but the 3-leaf, 13 Moons has it. Does anyone know what type of clover? Yes, Green Gables has that. Red clover. Yeah, it's hard on the phone. I'm sorry, Carrie. So red clover was the first one. Those are just starting.
You won't find any around the chickens. They're all gone immediately.
They are. They love them. They will eat those greens like nothing else. This one should be a pretty easy one, and it's popping up all over the place here. So if you can see that one.
It's been up for 3 weeks.
It's definitely been up, I don't know, over a month.
Yeah.
As soon as we lose snow, this comes up. So if you guys want to figure that one out, it's another one we featured before. It's an early spring, one of the first things up. Long and skinny. Tina's on her phone too. This one, I think you'd be able to see on your phone if you have it on the full screen. Pretty sure on my screen it's tiny because I have it in. Haven't pulled it up.
What was growing in Ann Arbor yesterday? First sighting.
First sighting growing in Ann Arbor.
Yep, other side of the state.
We weren't in Ann Arbor yesterday.
We weren't. But...
oh. With the first legal?
The first legal hash bash from my mom, who
was in Ann Arbor.
Has absolutely no interest.
No.
Neither do I. But they had the first legal hash bash since 1971, was it?
Yeah, I was going to say 72, 71, somewhere in there. Wild garlic or wild onions?
Yeah, one of the two. It's onion. It's always hard to tell till you pull it up.
Yeah, no.
Tear it and smell it.
Smell it. Yep. Will chickens eat onions?
It smells like onion.
Yeah, if it smells like onion, it probably is onion. Or in the family.
Yeah.
Our chickens do not like to eat onions.
I think they eat a little bit of the greens, like those chive greens, chivey things. I think they'll eat some of the tops. They don't eat the roots. No. If you peel the outside of your onions from compost, throw them out there. They do not eat them.
Yeah.
And onion and garlic tops like that are a positive identifier. One, the look, and two, if they smell like onion, they are an onion family. They're totally edible. You can't go wrong with those. Being something poisonous.
Have another one. This is not starting to bounce back yet, but it is around a year. It doesn't go away.
Purple nettle. No. Or chickweed in their lawn.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
But this one, other than the dog in the picture, Quinn went for a hike with me, is one that you can make some really good lemonade substitute out of in the summertime. And here we go on the bouncing around, and hopefully we don't. No, it's working. Okay.
There's a camouflage something there.
There's a camouflage something in there, but I'm talking about the plant. It looks like a tiger. No, you're growing pudding. Yes. I'm growing pudding. But what is she standing in the stand of?
If she keeps eating brisket, she's going to grow. She's going to grow round.
She is standing in sumac. Yep. That is actually smooth sumac, smooth red sumac, not the staghorn sumac, which is more common.
Verbena. It tastes like lemon verbena, but it's not lemon verbena.
The in the summer you get this bloom on the outside of the berries that is a white bloom, and if you just rub it and lick your finger, it tastes like lemons.
Yep, sumac.
Yep.
So
got multiple people.
Is the flavor in sumac and lemon verbena? I think it's the same chemical, and also the same as
it might be. Yeah, I'd have to look it up.
Wood sorrel.
And what is this one?
Salicylic acid.
Salicylic acid, yes. What is this one? This one is, and we'll have to see when it changes over because there's a delay. But this is a tiny plant. It's a little spade-shaped leaf. It likes to grow in my garden, even though I never planted it there, but it also grows in our yard everywhere. And it's also got a lemony flavor. So someone had mentioned something earlier about this as well, but do you know which type? If you can guess what it is. So I know the picture just showed up on our screen now, so that's how long our delay is.
At least ours, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll get that. This one's not a dandelion. This one's tiny. Those leaves are only about a half-inch long.
We won't see dandelions for another few weeks.
No, we do have some.
Do we?
We do.
Time to start picking them when they're young. Yes. They're really sweet.
They're out there.
They're actually the best. Well, the greens are there. You haven't seen a flower, though.
No, not the flower.
Yeah, the greens are always there.
Sorrel, you're right. But which type of sorrel? This is wild in our area. Which type of sorrel? There's a couple types of sorrel that we've featured before. I haven't seen our other type of sorrel, which is actually a different plant.
Yeah, not time.
Yeah.
We have time in the garden left over from last year.
Crystal got sorrel, but anybody know which sorrel has that spade-shaped leaf? It has a special, some people call it sweetgrass because they like that. Yeah. Nope, this one's not wood sorrel. Wood sorrel has the heart shape.
Looks like the shamrock shape.
Yeah, wood sorrel has a heart-shaped leaf. It looks a little more like a clover, except it's heart-shaped.
It's like giant clover.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it looks like a branch.
We have dandelions. I just saw an article for 25 things to do with dandelions.
Yeah. No, I think Coco posted that.
Oh, that was Coco. Yeah, that was Coco.
It's sheep sorrel. So since I'm not seeing it up, it's sheep sorrel, and it is out
It's
now.
probably one of the most tasty wild edibles this time of year.
Yeah.
It's delicate and it's got a very nice bright lemony flavor.
Yes.
You can eat it plain, or you can put small amounts mixed in with your green salad, and you'll still notice some. But it's actually quite tasty.
Yeah, you can put them on sandwiches.
Probably one of our favorites.
Yeah. So you put it on a turkey sandwich. I bet you that would be good too. Or chicken. And yes, our favorites just to snack on. I'll just pull a leaf off and snack on it while I'm outside. But that's one of my favorites. Next one is really young right now. It'll get a heck of a lot bigger than this.
It's kind of a hard one.
Yeah, this one's a little bit.
Know what it is.
You might know what it is. Oh, by the way, the last one, the sheep sorrel, is related to your red vein sorrel and all of that. It's actually just a miniature wild version of it.
What's very popular as a culinary herb right now and as a garnish.
Yeah, but this one, you tend to harvest the flowers. Oh, got a little buffering. Hopefully it'll go back.
I heard about.
So this one has little feathery leaves. It'll grow a heck of a lot bigger. Those are actually only a couple inches long right now, but they'll get a lot bigger. And they will have later in the season a white flower with tons of little tiny white flowers.
There you go.
Suburban hillbilly, yarrow. Some people plant it in their garden on purpose.
It looks like a fern, but it's much smaller than a fern.
Yeah.
It's deceptive because the yarrow is a pretty big, fairly tall plant.
It's just
and
really
it's hard to coordinate
feathery.
it at this point.
Yeah.
To the late summer until you really notice what it is.
It's got a really feathery.
I don't think last year I would have put the two together. This year I knew what it was.
Yeah, and I knew where it was growing too because it's also growing.
Yeah,
in
and that's
garden.
where it helps you see it through the seasons. You're like, oh, yeah,
that's what
it is when it pokes up because.
Because it's only like this big right now, but you'll get these bigger leaves on, well, bigger, longer, and skinny leaves, and it'll get really tall. Well, a couple of feet, not really. But anyone know what this one? Someone was talking about this one earlier. Right now it's in bloom. It's got teeny tiny white flowers on it.
That's pretty blown up also, because if you look at that, that's a standard brick.
Yeah.
So brick's what, 8 inches or something?
Yeah, something like that. So it's a tiny.
That's pretty magnified, and you can see the oak leaves in there.
Tiny plant. Another one that a lot of people like to eat in salads or on sandwiches.
And that's warm. It's growing fast. It's up against the foundation.
Yep. So this one, and we still have this delay going. There it goes. So this one is growing. It spreads out when it grows. It doesn't usually get very tall unless it's really climbing all over itself. Yes. Chickweed.
And chickweed, is that the one that has more omega-3 than like?
No,
I think so.
That was
it has some crazy.
That was the summer one. That was purslane.
Oh, purslane.
Yeah.
It says why eat all the fish? I think it was Gerald Patton said, forget about all the fish oil and cod liver oil and all that stuff. Tastes like junk. He goes, purslane grows crazy. We
don't have it this time of year.
Raw purslane, I think, on that one. He says you'll get like 3 times or 4 times the omega-3. You'll get all the omega-3 that you need. It's totally free, and it tastes pretty good. Have a little chickweed salad a couple times a week.
Okay, you guys. The next one, there's actually a couple plants in here, but the big one is the one I'm asking about. There's actually a little chickweed under this one, but this one you guys should know, I would think. It grows all over the U.S., and this is the time to harvest the leaves before they get bitter, because these guys will get bitter as they get older and it gets hotter.
And the roots.
And the roots, and then eventually the flowers, but the flowers aren't flowering yet unless you're further south than us. So although I have heard, I think Mike Pratt was saying how he did see the first flower.
You get a sunny hill or up against a barn or something and house and maybe get something to poke up.
Again, this is up against the house. So yes, dandelions. People know that one very well. But lots of ways you can eat dandelions. So we mentioned that one earlier. Let's see, do I have... Oh, I have one more. One more for you guys. And this is a biennial. And this is the first year that it's growing in this place. And we still have a big delay. So this plant has really fuzzy leaves. Right now the leaves are a few inches big. They will definitely get a lot bigger. They will be in a rosette pattern this year. But next year, if it survives the lawnmower, because it's in the middle of the yard right now. Next year, it will send a spike up with a flower on it. Hi, aim high. So This one, who has a guess on what this one is? There is a nickname for this one as well that some people use that don't realize. Well, a lot of people who do hiking have a nickname for this one. Yep, we got mullen.
Green Gables got that one.
It's mullen. Yes, also known as the toilet paper plant.
Is lamb's ear a proper name? I bet people say
lamb's quarter.
Lamb's quarter. Lamb's.
No, there's lamb's quarter and there's lamb's ear. Lamb's ear is that fuzzy plant that we had in the garden in New York.
Yes,
in the front garden.
Yes, that's different.
But that's different.
You're right. It's kind of similar, but not. This is bigger.
Yes.
And it will get much bigger as a final.
Yes, it will get much bigger. You can actually see the second round of leaves are just starting to poke up right now. First round of leaves.
The big one can be like almost a foot circle.
Yes, and then on the second year, the spike with the flower can get up to like 3, 4, or more feet.
Yeah,
high.
I forgot about all the lamb's ear. They grew out of some rocks on our front in New York. We had a lot of it.
I think someone planted in that garden.
Indian toilet paper. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep. Hiker's TP. Yep. So it's very soft, but sometimes the hairs on it will bother people's skin, so you have to watch that. But yeah, I think those were all the things that I saw that are definitely edible, usable.
Pudding finally chased a rabbit this week. That was another spring activity. She
didn't go very far.
She didn't go very far.
No, she chased it for about 10 feet.
She ran into a fence and flipped over this week also.
It was a fence that was open. We kind of used.
It's a fence opening. It's used as a gate.
It's a welded wire fence that we just basically clasp around itself, or we'll open it for the garden, so it's not a real gate.
It's a makeshift,
makeshift gate. And she completely plowed into it.
It fell open after it had been closed during the day. It was laying open, and you can't see it. She was running at full speed, paying no attention.
Yeah.
Cindy's like, "Why is that open?" And I'm like, "Well," instead of paying attention, dog comes running to Cindy, hits it it's on a 40-degree angle, hits it at full force. Flips her over. She lands on the, I don't know what she landed on the other side. She got her paws caught in the fence. She seemed pretty much just fine. Didn't hurt anything in the process. But
yeah, mullein flowers are for earaches, or the oil, sorry, and the flowers are for earaches. You also can use them. Some people will use them to relieve foot pain and such as well.
Oh, we got the big thing was we got a new implement this week.
Yes.
Oh, we could use it.
I didn't take a picture of it yet.
Well, you got to do. You could bring it in here and show it.
That's huge.
We have a giveaway this week, right?
We got to do a giveaway. We forgot to do our giveaway last week.
We could bring that in and have that be the giveaway. Not giving it away.
What?
The answer of what it is.
That'd be the question.
We're not giving it away.
We're not going to give that away.
Screaming for one of these for like 3 years. 2, 3.
It's too expensive for us to give it away.
She's not giving it away. We might be able to give away the cool guy who actually handmade it. He might appreciate that.
We might be able to send you his way. I don't know how many more he has.
He had at least one more.
He handmade it.
Yeah, he handmade it, and we don't know him at all. It was a find.
I'm not sure if we'll catch it all in the camera to be able to see it on here.
Stand back.
I could stand back all behind us with all the junk. Okay, you want to go get it from the...
All right, so
Okay, what are we giving away this week?
Well, that's the first part, right?
We haven't really talked this over.
Well, you said you were doing it last week, and you said you're doing it this week. So.
Well, last week we got a little distracted with our internet
we had
problems.
We had people, and then the internet got all messed up.
Yeah, so
we ran over a gar steak with a lawnmower yesterday.
Oh no!
Well, if you only got a portion of it, it'll keep on going. If you got a lot of it, I think it's done.
Yeah.
Feed it to the chickens.
Yeah, they probably would like it. Oh no, I like garden steaks. Yeah, right. My face. Oh boy. Yeah, I'm like, we're not giving that away. It's expensive.
Yeah, we kind of splurged on something we needed. So
yeah, something that'll make life easier this spring because we really need to work our garden. But what are we going to give away? Are we giving away pasta, or are we going to give away something we haven't put together yet that is almost ready but not quite ready? We have to find time to do that.
You gotta finish that. Yeah, well, it's not ready. So the hog packet's not ready yet. I don't know. I guess
we could do pasta again.
I could do pasta.
We could do pasta, and if anyone who wins is gluten-free,
well, you have that. You like that gardener book also, the gardener planning book, which is still in time. So I guess there's a choice of
I think I have
two select choices of 2 varieties of pasta, which we can send out, or we'll direct send through order the gardening planning calendar, which I
Yes.
think you know the name on it.
Yes. Well, let me go get the implement that we're gonna have a guess on. Which
and the rule is nobody won in the last 3 months, was it?
Yes.
3 months is eligible to win, and then anybody else, whoever is the first person to type in what we deem to be the correct or near correct answer.
Green Gables and Valerie D have won. I don't have my January person written down. Did we give away in January? We should have given away in January. Uh-oh.
And then
was it Tim Beverly in January?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
No, he was October.
I know he won. So anyway, so that'll be whoever's the first person to answer correct or near correct, very near correct, and is the first one to show up on our screen, not necessarily your screen.
Yeah. So first person.
We will have you contact us
by email.
By email through our website, right?
No, it's you just send it to parttimepermies@gmail.com. So, and just...
Can I guess now? Because my internet start guessing.
Start guessing. I will go get this tool. It is big, and you can start guessing on what it is. And if you like, no.
All right.
Actually, okay, hold on. I will be right back and go get this, and hopefully we'll be able to see me. You can keep chatting.
Tammy might have been December. It was January. She might have been January. That's actually very possible. Yeah, we got another Great Dane. Yes, we got one of those. Hearing noises. Wondering if it's raining. We got a little rain came through today. Is it raining hard or what was? Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought I heard rain. Okay, it's raining really hard.
Rain on the greenhouse plastic.
Yeah, that's what I thought I was hearing.
Okay, you guys ready? Yeah, I'm gonna get in view here in a second. We'll try to give you. Oh, there's Quinn.
Let me figure out where the picture is so I can. All right, I got the picture.
You got the picture, but you got to watch the screen for who's gonna put the first answer here. Now this is protected on the bottom, so we don't poke holes. You gotta watch the screen. Watch the chat. Who has an idea?
Well, it's not like the chat's gonna go away.
Of what this tool that is really tall
chainsaw
is.
I have one of those in the garage, but no.
So it is.
This is a manual.
This
is a manual implement.
And I'm hitting the ceiling fan. It is protected on the bottom because of these little things are sharp.
Lettuce harvester.
Nope.
Fork. Broad fork. There we go. Crystal.
Crystal. Was Crystal?
Crystal's first, and River Joy Studio jumped. Man, we got people jumping out we don't even know are here. So it looks like Crystal came through on us first.
Yeah, broad fork, Crystal. And Crystal, you've not won before, have you? So, would you like, and I'll get the book if you want to see the gardening book. I'll bring that right back. I should have grabbed that a second.
And River Joy, you were like fractions of seconds behind, it appears, unfortunately. Yeah. And Green Gables was behind that, and Butcher Baker. Yeah, how many of you have a broad fork? We have been looking at one for a number of years, and we were double digging and then single digging with spades and a double deep spade. And it works pretty well, but...
and we've done it with...
And we were broad forking with Justin in February.
Yeah, we were.
Or March, beginning of March.
And we were broad forking with our pitchfork, which doesn't work as well, but it works. Yeah. So Crystal, you have a choice of the Vegetable Gardener's Handbook, week by week handbook, which basically has tips on what to grow each week. You enter in your dates in the book based on when your average day of last frost is, and you can work your weeks prior and weeks after based on that. So I'm out of breath.
Or if you want pasta, you can go to my webpage, email us through City's regular email. Go to a webpage, look through some of the varieties, or just tell us to pick 2, and we will send you 2 packages of our My Homemade Pastas. So this broad fork, what's interesting is Cindy was like complaining, I want a broad fork. And we're like, yeah, I know, but the commercial Elliott Coleman endorsed ones are like $3 million, which is probably worth it, but it was more than we wanted to spend. So we were poking around, found a bunch, and so some of them are look really chintzy and they're gonna fall apart.
Yeah.
And some of them are really monstrous, and some of them don't have enough handle, and some of them have like spikes. Some of them have like cutouts on them, and some have more like spikes. And so what I came across is this is an Etsy. So it's a handcrafted broad fork, and it's made out of tube steel. It's tacky, like I think he put oil or resin on it to prevent it from rusting, which is nice. It didn't paint it, but this is all made out of tube steel and hopefully very heavy tines that aren't going to bend. It's got really good welds on it. We have not used it yet, but it's completely handmade, and it was like price equivalent or less than many of the other ones that did not look as well made. And I'm like, well, that looked really good, and we'd rather pay somebody direct who actually made the thing.
Yeah.
So we ordered this late last week, and it showed up pretty promptly, and yeah.
So.
And it's good and heavy, but not too heavy to use.
Yeah, no, it'll be good because the weight will help you get in the ground.
Yeah, you actually want the weight, and you want a long handle system because you can use your entire body if you haven't used one to bend. You actually fall backwards on it to use that pressure, so you don't have to.
It was from
overexert yourself. Yes.
Yes, it was from Etsy.
It was. There's a number of people on Etsy doing them, but there was one gentleman. You'll see a picture. It looks like that. So I think he had at least one left.
And he may be making more. I don't know.
And I assume he's making more, but we don't know him, so we're happy to promote him. It seems, unless it falls apart on us when we first use it,
we'll try it.
It seems like it's really, really well made. So.
Yeah. So got it from Etsy, and we'll actually, will you be able to find the link if we go on Etsy?
I could, I think, if it's still there. Well, I have an email. I could go through, grab my phone. I have an email receipt, which would.
Sure.
But if not, I think we can find it quickly.
So you just did a broad fork search on Etsy.
I think I was doing a general broad fork search.
Or did you use the French term?
I don't know. No, I don't. I was doing a general search, and I think Etsy came up. I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. There it is.
The Lamb Broad Fork 6-tine from Lamb Welding.
I think he's raised the price on it. Or it's bigger.
No, this is the same one.
That's the same model, unless.
How much did you get it for?
I think it was $130.
This is $160.
I want to say it was $137 off the top of my head. That's $160, but
okay. Hey, it's still cheaper than the many.
I mean, you're looking in the $200 to $300 range on the some of the, and there are larger ones, but I think that is highly competitive.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that looks like it.
Now that has a cross tine across here that we don't have.
Oh.
It's got a second reinforcement.
Is that the right guy?
I don't know. Maybe there's a.
There may be a couple guys, yes.
Maybe there's a pattern and everybody's making the same ones.
Yeah. There's similar ones. That was similar to ours, but not quite the same, I guess.
It's really, well, he may be working on a. I don't know. I'll grab my phone and find the receipt. My phone's in the other room.
Okay. Anyway, we're running around all day today during this live show, aren't we? So yes, it's for poking around. No, we do like broad forking better than tilling because you don't disturb the microorganisms in the soil so much, but you still get a little oxygen into the soil, which is the main reason for it. It's probably best after you have a first year garden. We did till our first year, but we have not since then. So might be compensating for shipping. I'm not sure if that was the right one. So there's a broad fork link that's not too horrible, $160. I mean, we've seen them up to, what, $200-300.
I've seen them approaching $300 for some of the large, well-built ones.
Yeah.
And I think some of the Elliott Coleman endorsed ones are deep into the high 100, 200 plus, I think, on most of them.
So,
which seems a lot for an implement.
Yeah.
It's a great idea, and I think they're worth a decent amount of money. But it just seems like that's a lot for a steel implement.
Yeah. So we got this like just over half the price of some of the expensive ones. Yeah, Green Gables. Where did you buy yours? I'm trying to see if I'm missing other questions. Suburban, are your comments showing up? I may have missed some. Yeah, I got your broad fork comment, by the way. It just was after a bunch of others. So, Noah's Ark way back when did ask us how long we were in Trinidad. She posted,
I did see that. Yes.
She did post a comment on.
You're watching the old videos?
Yeah.
The old
Our old videos, man. Technically, that was when we just started the channel, but that was from footage from 10 years prior to that. So that was like old camera and everything. But we went to Trinidad 2 years in a row and stayed with families and hiked in the rainforest, and you got to cook with the family, so learning about the local food, local culture, and the nature, which was so much fun. So I think Noah's Ark is talking about way back there, was talking about, I know she watched the video of us hiking, and I think it was camping and cooking with Carl.
Yeah.
Because we went hiking in the rainforest. He's the only guide who will take people overnight through the Trinidad rainforest, at least at that time. That was more than 10 years ago now. And so we did an overnight hike with him from a place in the northern mountains called Brasa Seco, through the mountains in the rainforest to the beach. And we spent the night in the rainforest. We spent the night in a hunting lodge on the beach, and really rustic, and then hiked the whole way back the next day. So that was a lot of fun. Do we have family there? No. We got to stay with other families.
We worked with some guides. We found guides and got people that sent us up with other local guides and sent us up with families that were interested in ecotourism.
Yeah.
Or either using their house for rooming or specifically to teach us things that we were interested in.
So we rented rooms from people's private homes. We went hiking. We got tours from local guides. Trinidad's a really kind of interesting island where initially we just wanted to go somewhere in the Caribbean. And we picked Trinidad at that time because, one, we didn't know many other languages, so English speaking was helpful.
Always helpful.
Two, it was very culturally diverse.
It's one of the larger islands too, so you weren't going to run out of things to do.
Yeah, it's probably the makeup of the people on the island are probably about 40% East Indian descent, about 40% African descent, and then about 20% a mix of a whole lot of others, whether it's European or Lebanese or Chinese, and whole combination. So you actually get like this food-wise, you get this Indian influence mixed with this Creole influence. And so amazing food. We got to have learn how to make some of the local rotis. There's multiple types of roti.
When Cindy was interested in hiking and nature, which was why you also need a bigger, some rural areas and such.
Yeah. And we didn't want a real big tourist place. We didn't want to go to like the resorts. We wanted to go visit the culture, not the America moved to that area, which is great for relaxing beach vacations because that's fine. But that's not what we travel.
Lamb welding.
Yeah, that was it.
I think that's it.
That was it.
Lamb welding in Hartville, but I don't know Hartville what state. Yeah, it's actually the same picture.
So you must have had
He has the same picture with that crossbar, which happens to be in ours, but that seems funny.
Yeah.
No, we paid $159. So
yeah, 160 is the same.
Wasn't remember right. So it's the same. He seems to have. I'm just looking at it. He has some welded furniture, like lawn furniture, to broad forks, tripods, camping, garden tools, outdoors. He sold about 70 items. Custom ironwork, lifetime investment.
Yeah.
So it looks pretty good.
Yeah. So first impressions are good so far. So that link I put to the Etsy is his link. So you can check it out.
You can blow him up and buy all of his stuff, I guess, and
we are not getting paid for it.
I don't know him. I have no idea.
No idea.
We did a search like everybody else. So.
We're just trying to find something we can afford.
We're like, oh, Etsy, that's a great idea. Let's see if we can find something here that's go direct.
Yeah. So Noah's Ark said the birds were loud. Yeah, the birds were all over the place. They were loud. There's a lot of tropical.
They have something like they have some of the most number of hummingbirds, which is a big thing people go for.
Yeah.
But there's albatross and there's those the scarlet tanagers,
which the British like to go for the bird watching trips.
So you have a lot of Europeans that go on serious bird watching with their mega cameras, nature shows. I wanted to go there for the food a lot of times.
Oh, aim high. Daughter's on the way home from Dublin, London, and Paris. I haven't been to Dublin.
I have everybody I know of from school that went through Dublin, and some lived in Edinburgh.
Yeah.
They absolutely loved it. Did you do it? No, it was 10 years ago, pretty much.
Before Airbnb.
There was no Airbnb, but we effectively did Airbnbs because we stayed with. And if anybody's serious about going there,
we'll give names.
There's a couple people, and there's a village where there's host homes that we would highly recommend.
And this village, like we stayed with.
I think we were paying about $100 a day. That was breakfast, dinner, overnight, and then we negotiated some cooking classes, and some other things. Now, I mean, things have changed, but they specifically are helping fund and build their village by keeping their way of life. And this is in the Creole Northern Rainforest area, but they've made a concerted effort to preserve what they're doing and bring value and income by doing ecotourism on a limited amount. And the whole island has committed to that, not ruining the island with overrun with ship after ship, and focusing a little more on some traditional activities.
That's not their main source of income. They actually are oil,
tar. There's some sand and
the main income
natural,
is oil.
But there's some natural. They have a huge aluminum factory, which I assume is still Big Alcoa.
And they are the place where pan drumming started, is in Trinidad. So we got to see some of the pan bands practice, which they call orchestras because they really are big orchestras.
It's the whole neighborhood. They're neighborhood bands, and they truly.
And they're like 60 people in this, like at least 60 to 100
Never mind the little cruise ship or the little tiki bar with 1 or 2 people plunking away. This is a whole different.
And they named their pans after the different orchestral instruments. So you have cellos and violins and violas, but they're all the pans, different sizes.
And then they have their Carnival, which is, heading.
We purposefully avoided Carnival both years, and we left on the day that it was starting, or the day before it was starting 1 year. We went 2 years in a row. So the Carnival is a huge party, but they actually have massive displays and costuming, fashion designers, and local fashion designers, and national ones linked to Trinidad do very elaborate costumes, which you can actually buy into to be part of these groups. So it's a little different than like going to New Orleans, or whatever, or even Brazil. It's their own thing. So they have a huge carnival, very well known. Yeah.
But I wouldn't say that's the highlight of the island. There's a lot more to be done.
The only thing I would say for women who are traveling there is I probably would travel with some men, because the culture's different, and one of the cultural differences is that men automatically will shout out, and it's almost
they will grab you and grab your hand, and it'll be a lot. It's very aggressive.
Yes, but it's the shouting.
No different than Jamaica or anywhere.
Yeah. But the shouting across is to them considered complimenting any woman they see walking by who they think is nice looking.
Well, the assumption is you have to fight and compete and win for
the woman.
For a woman, which is not.
It's not the same.
So
it's a different culture.
You have to understand it in a slightly different method. It's maybe not as.
You wouldn't get away with that here.
No.
At all.
And there is there are pockets, especially in the city, that are violent, and you need a chaperone to be aware of the environment, or not be there in the evening.
Yeah.
And just to kind of guide you. It's not terrible, but
you gotta watch it.
There is. You need to be self-aware. So if you're a good international traveler and you've worked with some guides, and guides are not like day guides are not expensive.
No.
That you can be hooked up, and just to have a sense, because like if you go to a big city or you go to a different neighborhood and state, and you don't know what's going on, you don't catch all the cues of what's happening around you always either. So I would say it's not highly violent, although
but you have to watch it.
But just you need to be self-aware and a good international.
Yeah, I mean, Noah's Ark, you're right on some of that too, and they're not so much that. I mean, their women don't wear skirts.
It is a more traditional culture between the Indian, Chinese, and then the old British culture.
Mm-hmm.
It is more, in one way, it's a lot more traditional. On the other hand, it's an island culture, and there's a lot of fun, and they're very, very relaxed.
Yeah.
And and so it's that balance. So I don't want to say compare it to Jamaica because I worked with a lot of Jamaican guys and ladies. So
Yeah.
they're two different countries, but there are some cultural
Similarities.
similarities,
Yeah.
and there's some not.
But
the food is more different than similar than Jamaican food.
But we also spent more of our time in the country than in the big city, and you get a lot more of that in the city than in the country too.
Yeah.
So that was definitely a great experience. I'd love to go back again. In fact, there is actually a YouTube photographer out of Trinidad that I found that I watch a bit, and he kind of gives. He's worked a lot with their basically tourism groups and stuff, but he does his own thing of traveling and showing what's around Trinidad and Tobago. It's one country, two islands, and does a lot. Actually, a lot of his videos are places that we went to on our tour, so it's kind of fun to see. And sometimes with the guides
Tobago
that we
is
went to.
is much more resort driven and beachside. Trinidad has, well, it's a big country, but there's more in the northern areas where you do most of the sightseeing, and then sort of a little into the central area, which is more of the Indian sections. There's a lot of culture, and so it's more culturally driven, not so much hanging on the beach in that
there's
part.
There's some.
But there are airports. There are airports into both Trinidad
and Tobago.
Port of Spain, the main city. So there are international airports that can get you off of American Airlines or off of them.
I think to get to Tobago, you go to Trinidad and then
no, there's directs.
Are there?
There are some directs, but you can always make a jump. It's pretty
easy,
quick and inexpensive.
Anyway, it was fun. So thanks for asking about that. That was a long time ago, but it was. We did post a couple videos a couple years ago.
I've been teaching some cooking classes on Trinidad recently for the community college, which are all full and have been received really well. Just because the food's fun and it's really tasty. It's it's fresh driven and it's got so much ethnic inputs from multiple influences, and then they've created their own mishmash of fusion of food also.
Yeah, so it's definitely fun. So yeah, it goes with our food oriented YouTube channel, so I threw that in there because I never did put any videos together, so I went through that old footage a couple years ago and posted those. Not the best footage, it wasn't taken to tell a story so much, so it's not like beginning and end so much, but it was definitely fun to do that. So thanks for asking on that. That was awesome. Anyway, so it's already 10 o'clock at night.
So you've done giveaway, you've done...
Yes, that was Crystal.
If there's any quick Ask the Chef questions, I guess that's what we didn't cover.
Yeah, if you have any quick questions for Mike.
We've done a lot of that recently with it being cold and coming through the end of the season where there was not much going on outside. So
or growing wise in general. Crystal, don't forget to email me at parttimepermies@gmail.com. All one word on the Part-Time Permies. And you could go onto the webpage. The pasta webpage link is below. I put it in the chat.
Can you break up sod with it first here? Sod's pretty tough. I would, just guessing, I mean, tines, you can really, even a pitchfork can be hard to break it out. You could try if it's loose sod. I would probably cut the sod up. And sometimes people even just flip it over and let it die flipped over before they do. You could till it, but it's a little hard to till it. The whole point is not tilling it.
Yeah.
Doing the broad fork just to loosen and aerate.
Hey, Jason.
I would cut the sod out, or maybe rototill 3 inches down just to break it.
Just the first year.
Or you could, if you could get a sod cutter, that's even better. And then, but anyway, I would probably deal with the sod the first few inches first.
And then
I would go to broad fork from there. And it all depends on your soil condition.
Yeah.
We're on total sand, so it's actually a pretty easy turn. But if you're on a lot of clay rock combination, it will still work. But it's Justin Rose does it, and they're in a wet clay rock setting, and it works just fine.
Yep.
Again, the beauty of it is you have a lot of mechanical pressure and manipulation, but the tines, because they're not wide, you can put a lot of force and you can come through the soil, where a shovel as this big piece is very hard to lift and break it up, because you're really just trying to break it up.
Yeah.
So
anyway, I don't see any questions coming up, although there's definitely a delay. I'm going back to see if we missed any other questions back here. trying to see. Dina says she hasn't won yet. Okay. Yeah. We'll get you a win sometime, Dina.
We're
I
waiting.
promise.
So we got. So this was actually kind of finishing out last month, right? March.
Yes.
Even though it's
so
April.
This...
So there will be one. I guess there'll be a giveaway sometime. Doesn't always happen at the end of the month. There'll be a giveaway for this month, and then when we hit 5,000 subscribers.
Yeah, when we hit 5,000 subscribers,
we're
we'll do another
2,000
one.
away from that. So
yeah. That'll be a little ways. Who knows? I mean, we keep doing projects with people, and every time we do that, we get a bump in things. So every once in a while, we get that. It comes in waves, but that's all right. I like the slow growth actually because I find it's people who are really interested and not people who are just kind of joining and then leaving.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. So Crystal, I'm counting your win as our March winner because we forgot to do it last week. So you are our March winner. Some other point this month, we will do another giveaway.
Chicken stock, yeah.
Do you just hang plantain to dry it?
Yeah.
You can hang it to dry it. Actually, what I usually
hang it, sun dry it, dehydrator,
cattails.
stick it in your oven. Especially if you have a gas oven, just turned off or on
a dehydrator.
Yeah.
You can also what I use plantain for the most, by the way, are bug bites. So I just grab it while I'm out there, and you can just break it apart and rub it on. Some people will chew it and then rub it on your bug bite, and it helps, heal that.
You can put it into oil to make salves and such.
We haven't done much of that.
So the broad fork, so the idea of no-till, where if you till, you heavily disturb your soil, and that may disturb the microbiotic activities, the rhizome and the microcilli activity. But the other thing is you're just doing a lot of damage. And so, we want to clear the weeds, and we want to make the soil less compact. We want to aerate it. We want to be able to input new items. But doing a rototilling every year is also going to leave you to a lot of dehydration and a lot of dust blowing around, and it's overdoing it.
You're going to lose some topsoil with it.
So the idea of a broad fork is, one, it's a mechanically easy to use item. It's a very effective versus digging and bending over and doing a double dig and turn. But it's going to do all the properties of loosening that you want without the heavy mechanical work. It's way lighter than a rototiller, so if you do want to do it in a raised bed, move it into just a small area. The idea of getting out a rototiller, putting fuel in it, making sure it's all working, hauling it around, all those things take energy, whereas this weighs 30 pounds maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, and you want some weight in it. So this can be put in the back of your car. You can haul it across the yard or throw it in a little trailer behind your tractor and go wherever. It's not like trying to get the rototiller over there and fire it up.
I would say between deep mulch and this, the deep mulch will help soften the soil and kill off a lot of the weeds too. You may not even need a rototill if you use the combination of that.
So and if you do rototill, it'll probably be the first year.
Yeah.
So I think on new soil. So I think for low impact gardening, beyond organic permaculture, this is probably the one tool that revolutionizes and replaces more activities than anything else.
No hat. She was trying to figure out why you were looking different.
Yeah.
And a haircut.
We had some pictures today.
Yeah. So Linda asked, just made chicken stock. Can I use the fat layer and clarify it to use later?
Yeah, you can't. Well, so there's two things. So the fat is totally usable. It's called schmaltz when you cook with it, or especially clarify it. It's near clarified, so you could pull the top off. If you let it sit and harden, it'll be the easiest to pull it off with the least amount of liquid in it. Also, if you leave that on and you want to keep the stock for a longer period of time, that fat layer will block air getting in the stock and mold growth for quite a longer time than no fat. Think about putting wax on an old style of jam, where you're creating a barrier. So you may want to leave a fairly heavy fat skin on stock that's going to be undisturbed. However, it needs to come off at some point. So the easiest way to take it off
is after it's solidified.
Is let it get hard, lift it up. Of course, chicken fat's a lot softer than beef or even pork fat, but it will come up. Lift it off. It'll be near clarified. If you do want to melt it and run it through a mesh just to get out any chunks. If you do want to do a light simmer and go through a more proper clarification, see if there's any particles or boil out a small amount of water, it will go rancid much faster than a hard fat like beef tallow or pork lard. So I don't recommend keeping it without refrigeration, even if you've clarified it. I think you probably could, but I've always refrigerated it. It is completely usable once fairly clarified as a cooking medium. It has a lower smoke point than beef, and it definitely has a chicken flavor. That's a good thing. Well, just treat it as a good thing, but know that's gonna have a chicken flavor. Don't cook donuts in it. Cooked chicken or potatoes or things you want chickeny. It is very useful and nice, and yeah. So a lot of times when people kill the old chickens, they will pull that really big fat pad out of the layers that sits in back. You could have a whole handful of fat, and it's really dark yellow from all the grasses in the summer. People will specifically take that, chop it up, and clarify it for schmaltz for cooking.
Yeah.
And of course, if you're kosher, Jewish kosher, not eating pork and pork fat, that becomes your replacement for pork lard. It's a little different, but fairly equivalent. So yeah, it's usable. If you'd like to use it, it's good.
Yep. So, and Helix is asking for attention. It always makes you so hungry. We didn't talk as much about food today. Yeah. We did a little bit.
Yeah, the broad fork, you can cover quite a bit of area. If you look at Justin Rhodes does his morning workout sometimes this winter, he's preparing beds. He does, I don't know, what are they, 50-foot long beds? They're pretty long, 30.
I didn't even look.
He goes up and down, and he does 2, 3, 4 passes in 20 minutes fairly aggressively as somewhat of a aerobic workout.
Yeah.
You can, especially previously tilled and used areas, you can move a very large amount of...
Or chicken tilled or pig tilled areas.
Yeah, and then if you think about a rototiller, even then you end up, whether it's muddy or it's sandy, you end up kind of bucking it and riding it and yanking it around and trying to turn it around at the end of a row. You end up doing a pretty heavy workout even with a big rototiller, unless you've got a tractor. If you've got a tractor pull rototiller, but then you're doing commercial, large.
Yeah.
So this has a lot less challenges. You're probably not going to get hurt with it as far as, pulling your back or jamming putting your foot under the rototiller or anything crazy. You ever answer the cheese question? Yes. 18 distinct types of cheese, at least according to, I believe that's my food science book. I can go back and grab it. I believe it's 18
processes on how to make cheese.
So that would be different specific molds or bacterias or combinations, and particular mechanical processes, and whether you wash the outside or it's fresh or you blue vein it or whatever. There's 18 methods. Everything else has to do with changing the milk, changing the environment of where it comes from or what you wash it with, or changing some flavor characteristic, environment characteristic. With the mechanics and the biological are 18 types.
And Suburban Hillbilly, maybe one of our questions some week is, what's the name of our cat? Because you got it right. Helix with the H.
Another good cheese question. What's the one cheese, I believe there's only one, that uses yeast as a component? Any other time that you get yeast in your milk,
that's not a good thing.
That's a bad thing. You've ruined the cheese.
Oh, I don't know what that one is.
And it's got a little bit of a yeasty flavor when you think about it. But it actually is desirable to have some yeast activity.
Okay, Kitty, you're back. Fishes and loaves and loaves, gardens, and home. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Love
the ones behind the tractor. Well, if you have the space and you have the tractor and the implement available, yeah, they could be really nice. Yeah. We don't even need to do that much.
Okay. Yeah, we are just wrapping up here.
Yeah, we're kind of wrapping up, but there will be a replay up pretty soon.
Yeah.
So the one cheese that you do want some yeast activity is Swiss cheese.
Okay.
So your Emmenthalers, your Swisses, your Gruyères, which are all, again, terroir regional variants. And that's part of the reason you get some bubbling, which is also generally bubbles in cheese, especially that many bubbles is a highly negative activity, something wrong going on.
I have cat hair all over me now.
Obviously, Swiss cheeses have different size bubbles, but the Swiss is an important part. Feta is interesting because it's brined.
Yeah.
There are a number of brined, but it's in a salt brine, and some bacteria will exist and in a strong salt brine, and most will not. causing some of the specific characteristics of a feta. Now, feta can be cow, sheep, goat, or a combination of the 2 or 3 blended. And Bulgarian sheep cheese and all that, there's a variety of things that aren't called feta that are the same process.
Yeah. Oh, and we should ask your mom before we wrap up here if she is still awake and watching us and would like a phone call after we're done here. So
Lorraine,
yeah.
Swiss. So Lorraine is a region. So Lorraine is in France. So it would not technically be Swiss cheese, but it would be
Swiss
so
style.
You have things like Emmentaler, which is a Swiss cheese, which I really like. But Gruyere is a French cheese. It tastes, I think, a little different, but it's the same process. And then you have the baby Swiss, and you have some German things, and you have American generic Swiss that's a factory product. Yeah, so a lot of that has to do with regional borders, but it's and whatever their milk, their cow milk they're producing, what those flavors. Effectively, it's the same process. Yeah. Now, what size, shape? Is it a loaf? Is it a round? Does it have big holes? Is it babies? Those are small nuances, but the process itself is the same.
It's better with feta. One of my cheese cookbooks, there's a recipe for Swiss cheese. Start with 16 quarts of milk.
4 gallons. That's a decent. Well, you can always cut stuff down.
Don't even have a bowl that big.
Yeah, cut them down. But remember, one of the first things you're going to do is you're going to coagulate it, either by heating or adding acid or adding rennet or something. You're going to coagulate it and make curds. When you make curds, you're going to lose, 3/4 of the volume, and liquid is going to be poured off its way.
Yeah.
So you can buy a 5-gallon food-grade bucket at your local hardware or a beer brewing bucket, plastic, and you can start your primary, or you could use a canning pot. You may have to do a scald, so you may need to. But anyways, there's ways to get around it. You're quickly going to be cutting that volume down, and yeah.
Okay, so we should really wrap up because we do need to give your mom a quick call.
Yeah, it's getting late.
And I have to work tomorrow.
I got a lot of stuff going on in the morning too.
Yeah. Okay. So we are going to say goodnight. We will be back next week, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, normal place, and hopefully we'll be getting some other stuff done.
See what else pops up this week.
Yeah. So we will see everybody next week. Sorry for the quick wrap up. Take care. Have a good week.
Good night.